a little bit of history for you this morning. Paul Coyte.
Me?
Yes,
history?
History? No, not you. The Lionesses. I mean, that really is a bit of history.
It really is.
I had my doubts, I've got to say, yesterday. I had my doubts. Well,
you kept them quiet, though, didn't you?
I did. Well, I had my doubts, but mainly because, Australia, as we kept saying, they're so determined. It was in Sydney.
They're trouble, that's what they are.
The country was wild for the
Yes, it was.
Yet we defeated all of that.
We did, and it's the first time that an English team has been in a World Cup final, obviously since 1966. The first time an English football side has been in a World Cup final away from home. So we can keep adding all these up. But do you remember when I was saying yesterday, it's about momentum. It's about building, starting slow and building up. And I thought they were fantastic yesterday. And they were cool, they were calm. And against everything that was around them, as we expected, the crowd that was so noisy, Australia came out against it, and England dealt with everything really, really well. Scored early, brilliant goal. Then when it went 1-1, and then you would often think, oh, here we go. But they didn't.
And Paul, what you were suggesting is that actually Australia was more of a worry for this team than Spain, who they're going to be facing on Sunday in the finals. If they could beat Australia, then we are really in contention to win the World Cup. And I don't want to tempt fate.
Can we just...
Australia is the better team of the two.
Well, it's difficult to say. There's always these different circumstances, and the fact that it was in Australia and the fact they're playing in Sydney, all this adds up. Now, Spain, this is a really interesting thing.
We're backtracking now, Paul.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just being really, really careful because I don't really, you said that and it tempted fate. But if we look at Spain, obviously, great footballing nation. They've got great players. They're great individual players. They play for Real Madrid and play for Barcelona. But as a collective, now, it's different because, obviously, it's a team game, and if people aren't getting on, then it can affect what goes on the pitch.
Are they not getting on? Has Jorge got a problem?
Jorge. There's been problems with Jorge.
You two have been practising this.
Jorge Vilda. Is that who you're referring to? That Jorge?
Yes, Jorge Vilda.
Jorge Vilda is the manager of Spain.
We're going to play Jorge bingo today.
Yeah, we are going to play hard. There's already been 7 Jorges already.
I'm calling
Isabel.
10.
That's 10.
Anyway.
OK, so the thing is, he's an interesting character. Now, he's caused problems within the team. Now, in September, there was the players of the Spanish national side. They submitted a letter to the Spanish FA complaining about Jorge Vilda, that there was a toxic culture that was affecting them and it was affecting their well-being and mental health. So all these letters went in and there were players that saying, look, we don't want to play for Jorge anymore. So 4 players said that they wouldn't play. 11 said, so then it starts adding up, said that they would actually return. But then out of those 15, they haven't had a name for these 15. So out of these 15, Jorge only chose 3 to come back into the national side. So there's been arguments with players that are there now and the other ones. Exactly. Yeah. It's great. Now, they were beaten 4-0 by Japan. I mean, that's a spanking. It is. It really is. It's a thumping and a thrashing. It's all of those things. And they came back and won 5-1 against Switzerland. But, I'm just going to lay it on the line here. We should beat Spain. We're a better side than Spain.
Thank you.
We're a more together side. It's the World Cup final. We're the European champions. We beat Spain 2-1 in the Euros in the quarterfinals last year. And I'm afraid Jorge will leave with a very unhappy face.
I'm very sorry, but Jorge is going to be crying into his patatas bravas.
That's exactly what he is.
He just is.
That's exactly what he'll be doing.
Sorry, Jorge.
And we've seen the transformation and the way we talk about football and female football since, obviously, the Euros.
Yes.
How much of a difference is the World Cup going to make? I mean, as a tournament, this is the one, right? This is the big one. And, we've already got the King coming out. We've got the Prince of Wales coming out. The plaudits left, right and centre yesterday.
Yeah.
This is it, right? This is the big moment.
It is. It's a huge moment. If we look at the Euros, look how important that's been. I mean, if we go back to 2015, that, for me, was the moment when people started paying attention to the English side of the Lionesses. This is when we start calling them the Lionesses. And then people start paying attention. Then there was the World Cup 2019. It can only go in one direction. And for those doubting Thomases, and I've had messages from a few people going, it's not as good, it's nowhere near as good as men's football. There's, 15-year-olds could beat them. it's a ridiculous point, because if you look at the way they play, and if you look at what happened yesterday, the football I thought was fantastic. It was brilliant. And it's the women's game is only going to move on and move on. And there are people that are scared of it. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. People it's almost like, oh, this women's football, I don't like this, and it shouldn't be. It's not. It's almost like a fear that the fact that it is going to be a success and continue to do well.
I'll tell you what I quite like about it all, though, is the fact we say it's the first World Cup final since 1966. It's merging of the two.
Yes,
and it's just football is football is football.
Yeah,
doesn't matter who's playing it.
Do we say that about tennis when there's women playing tennis? I mean, you don't, because it's tennis. There are just two different
tournaments are kind of concurrent, aren't they, in tennis? Whereas at the moment they're all separate. So it's just like maybe at some point in the future they'll all happen at the same time, and it will be, hit the women are playing, then the men are playing.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be a big undertaking to do that. But I just mean as in the way that people will look at the game, and it can only be good for football, and it's great for the country. Yeah, and it's 11 o'clock Sunday morning. That's when the final's going to be, and I think everybody should be paying attention, because they're a very, very good side, and to win it. Also, it was also interesting the way they were afterwards, because you'd expect huge celebrations. Yeah, there were celebrations, but pretty much after a little bit of that, they were down the tunnel because they knew had a job to do. If we look at the Americans, they were overdoing it, and that was cockiness, because they thought that they were better than they really were.
We're British.
Exactly. We go in and do the job and carry on.
We do.
And we can celebrate once we win, which I'm very confident that we will.